Probably.
Good evening, everyone. Well, we've been meeting before, it's not in closed session, and now we are back into, the session, so. I took sort of one on everyone this evening, good to see so many, locals here. We will begin, this evening. I will note that, Councilman Lyde and Councilman Stegman are, with us tonight virtually. Just make note of that and make sure that they have an ample opportunity to, participate, as needed. Let's see, we will begin with the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. A moment of silence tonight in honor of great neighbors. And I think about one block in particular. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. All right, thank you. Good to see you. I'm so comfortable. This evening we'll begin with a motion to approve the October 10th work session minutes. Note that the October 24 voting session and closed session, as well as November 7th work session minutes are not yet ready, and we'll get this up next time. Were there any questions about the minutes from October 4th from the council, October 10th from the council?
No.
This is what happens when we stay up till 11 o'clock. All right, may I have a motion to approve the work session minutes from October 10th, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next we'll consider the administrative reports. Did everybody have a chance to look at those?
Yeah.
Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve the administrative reports.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Great. Now we get to move on to something really, really delightful. Every once in a while, it's our privilege to reflect on people who live in our community and have made substantive differences in our day-to-day lives for a period of time. And tonight we celebrate one such person in the character of Dolores Draven. We have a proclamation that we'd like to share with Dolores and a few reflections from the council members and hopefully maybe from your neighbors as well. So we're going to start off with reading the proclamation that we have for you, Dolores. You're so far, can you come sit up front? There you go. Okay.
Yes. Whereas Dolores Dragan, a resident of Lambertville for 39 years, has made significant contributions to the community in a variety of ways over the years. And whereas Dolores has, through her own self-initiated volunteer efforts, enriched the Lambertville community and enhanced its reputation to the outside world as a creative place where all are welcome. And whereas Dolores made her first major impact in the Lambertville community as a dedicated and adored teacher at the Lambertville Public School, in which a major contribution was her annual String of Pearls performances, wherein students' self-esteem and creativity were bolstered, and wherein students' artistic talents were further fostered by the creation of her Artists in Residence program. And whereas Dolores annually contributed to the joy and pleasure of the community through her incredible, creative, fascinating day glow creatures that have been a feature outside of her home every Halloween for well over 20 years. And
whereas Dolores, through her solo generation of this museum quality display, has been the central force in giving and in helping to give Lambertville a national reputation as a center for Halloween celebration. And whereas Dolores has done so not with gore or fright, but with love, joy, creativity, and always guided by her wish to be a memory maker. And whereas Ed Dragan, as the husband and dedicated assistant, played a key role in the installation, disassembly, and storage of the display, in his own right, be recognized for his contribution. And whereas in this process, every year, Dolores has raised thousands of dollars through the donations of visitors to her display that have benefited the Lambertville United Methodist Church and its community kitchen here in Lambertville, and a variety of humanitarian causes throughout the country and in the world community, and her otherwise being a good and generous neighbor and friend to many. So
Now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing body of the city of Lambertville and the county of Hunterdon in the state of New Jersey, Dolores Dragan is hereby commended for her efforts to bring creativity and joy to her fellow residents. And be it further resolved that the governing body hereby proclaim Halloween, October 31st, as Dolores Dragan Day in perpetuity. Yes.
right.
Yeah. So at this time, I would, I'll entertain a motion to accept to adopt the proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So we can down and do this, and then we're gonna have a check. We have something. On behalf of a grateful community.
Thanks.
Proclamations here and.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much. And my apologies about the candy issue, everyone. On my part. She just needed to express yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is so adorable. Thank you.
Not as adorable as you are.
Mayor, maybe.
Yeah, so somebody, can we take somebody have a camera?
One, two.
Turn around.
Here, yeah.
Bring it up. Come on, bring it. Are you in the middle?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
There we go.
Thank my assistants from the back, Karen, and Michael, and for, Mr. Pearl, once with me. And I wanted to appreciate that they've been looking me through the year, including Halloween on Union Street. So, thank you.
Good. We're talk nothing else. Or maybe your neighbors might come up and say a few words. You don't have to. We have a few reflections from the days.
No.
I'd like to say a few words, my daughter was actually in Dolores Dragan's art class. And it made such a difference in her life. She'd come home and she'd be so enthusiastic. And I went to some of the parades with the big puppets, and she still talks about it. And of course, she still does art. And I visited her classroom one, I believe you have a sink in there, am I right?
Right, I had Mr. Bob and Janet.
And that was like amazing to me. There was no sink. So thank you very much.
How are you? He's my Halloween husband.
So, you are indeed a memory. The reason we do the pirate ship is because of Dolores' idea. Over the- And Dolores said, Catherine, why don't you guys do something, do a pirate ship or something? And Catherine said, yeah, okay. The kids heard it. They were little, they heard this. And Dolores said, I have these big sheets of cardboard you could use. So the cardboard came into the house. I didn't say yes, baby, because I knew it. And anyway, I made a pirate ship out of cardboard. And like you covering your stuff when it rained, I was covering the cardboard pirate ship every time it rained. And so you're no longer an employee. No longer right.
Right.
Good. So the first year we did the pirate ship, I needed a skeleton. Dolores had access to a human skeleton. Okay.
I would just like to say that, my husband and I live directly across the street from these two crazies. And, we don't decorate because how can we compete with this? And, every year, we go through between 1,000 to 1,600 pieces of candy, and we never have enough. So Dolores, you owe us like $6,000. So it's the, what the other person said, Dolores is my kid's art teacher. And those of us who are lucky to be at LPS and have our kids go to art class, it was great. And I kept a lot of my kids' stuff. And I still have projects that I do with them. So thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know where we're doing this, but so I was lucky enough to be on the staff of some of our other staff members. And from the get-go, I just said why I could really go back to first grade and start all over again as a student in her class. Because, well, I went to school in Philly. Well, I won't say what years, but the most creative thing we did there was like coloring in cornucopia and all that. And the project she did, just amazing. And she was always a consultant when we were working on projects. And it was just like we shared in all of that. And I also wanted to say in perpetuity will be Frankenstein on my front door, because that was Dolores did it for
My grandson's
her first grandson's
8th birthday party.
birthday party, and she gave it to me and said, "You need this." Yeah. And I didn't have a porch then, and his head went up above the door. Now we put the porch on, so we had to cut him off at the knees because. And I always say to people, because everybody comes up with these creative things, because you bring that out in us. And I said, don't think I'm a boring person. This is like a real thing. My students say, you have to have Frankenstein. So Frankenstein will be there as long as he keeps going. He's kind of protected now.
Well, he's 32 now, my. That's an old Frankenstein. That's an old Frankenstein. You did good.
I know there are two councilmen online. Councilman Stegman, shall we start with you? Any reflections?
Yes, Dolores, and if you, can you hear me first? Can you hear me?
All right, well, let's go to Councilman Nye then. Welcome back.
Or hello, can you guys hear me?
We lost him.
Yeah, it was unclear.
Well, we still have a quorum, so let's keep moving.
String of pearls. When you walked in the room, I was like, string of pearls. I was so glad it was in the resolution, because I remember my I remember them, yeah, and you were very kind. My son was not, I had two boys, so they weren't the most creative of sorts, but, was really, but you made him, he created things, and I still, like Karen said, I still have a bin with all the things that he made with Dolores Dragon, and you brought out this inspiration. He would make a squiggle for his face in preschool, and they would say, I think your son's got, so. And they were always laughing at us. But he went to Mrs. Dragon's art class, and he created such amazing things, and you have such an amazing gift to bring out this inspiration in people. And you made these beautiful objects, shared them with us in your yard, and look at what has happened years later. Like you brought out this inspiration and creativity in so many people throughout our community, and it grows every year. And that is your art and your inspiration and this gift that you have shared with us, and it really means so much. It's like fairy dust. And thank you so much.
I never saw I don't consider myself an artist per se, but I see myself more as a creator of artists. And that's my greatest joy. I send out my flying monkeys, let them conquer the world and change it for better.
4,000 creative of your inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Dolores, I really can't add anything except that you, with your String of Pearls project, you gave the kids that were often pushed in the corner, you put them front and center. And I remember my son being in that program for 2 years.
Yep.
And that auditorium was crowded with people who did not even have kids in the school. It was that good. And it just made those kids feel like they were someone. And that was so important. In addition to all of your creativity and the joy that you've spread with that, and the inspiration that you've given your neighbors and the rest of the community and so many children over the years, giving those children that feeling of self-confidence and the fact that they were out in the open and they had self-esteem and they were looked up to. That was really important to those children.
I wanted to say that Janet Koulis and Karen Pagan were kind enough to let me work with their kids, and they were such a great part of this. And we just had the greatest time creating. The kids created all of their own through music, all of their own acts, but we sweated backstage. We stopped fights backstage in the dark with arguments. I'm not going on stage. I refused to go. We had to deal with all of it, but they all showed up on stage, and we achieved, I think, when we went out. And the kids became stars.
They did.
In the school.
And you probably had no trouble getting Russell on stage, but rather getting him off stage.
None. Put them all.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what my son's been doing.
Do we have a councilman back?
Can you hear me?
So I would invite you to offer reflections or comments for Dolores and her work.
Hello, hello, hello.
Can you hear us, Steve?
I can hear, Dolores, if you can hear me, I decided, oh, wonderful. I decided to come as the invisible man in your honor. And thank you for everything that you've done. It's a real pleasure getting to know you over the years, and always able to top what you've done before. And all I can say is I hope to salute you on the following 50, at least 50 more Halloweens that we will be able to experience together. Thank you so much.
you.
Evan?
Yes, I wish I could be there in person, but Dolores, you have been such an inspiration for everyone on the block and everyone in Lambertville, and you know your presentation is just it's unbelievable. I mean, there's nothing else like it, and it just brings so much joy not only to the people that live here in Lambertville, but everyone that comes to town. And you've just been so generous with sharing that with everyone, and it is, intrusive, I'm sure, at times with people walking through your side yard. And for you to do that, for everyone to enjoy, it just shows what a gift this is. And I just can't thank you enough.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that everybody has a little something that they can contribute, whatever it is, no matter how small. If we can use that to change the world a little tiny piece. We can't do the whole thing, but we can do our neighborhood, we can do our block. We all have something to contribute, and it's the tiny things, the little things. It's only in Lambertville, but now it's gone everywhere. So you never know when it's gonna happen. I never expected it. But thank you all so much for this evening. It's really meant a lot.
Mary Jane can't help herself, she's got this.
And also, because I said the inspiration goes on, and so, with the wonderful words of Jim and I were talking about doing a proclamation. And so then we went and met, with Cindy and with Lucy, and they said, well, we can't just do, the words, and they created that,
So beautiful.
and it just reflects you,
Love
so it's
I
your
love it.
inspiration, and they did just a beautiful job.
This has been a great last year for me.
Yeah.
The weather was beautiful, unfortunately. It makes me proud, but I mean, it made up for Hurricane Sandy and the snow, everything else that had to deal with. But it's been wonderful. I love living here, and if I didn't love living here, I wouldn't do it. And this is my place, and just thank you all so much.
Yeah, well, just a few thoughts for me. Certainly, this idea of taking something small and building on it, as it's happened over the last 20 or 30 years here in town. Two brief stories. So I was in Atlantic City this week, and I was moderating a panel discussion on arts as a catalyst for economic growth. And I told a story about the importance of art, the importance of your art in particular, and to drive home the point that it was art and not just a bunch of stuff bought at whatever, right? I stopped the whole session, 120 people in the room, and I said, Google Lambertville Halloween right now, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And they did, and people were like, ooh, this is amazing. And so when I think about your art and the evolution of it, and it in collaboration with neighbors, gyms, and everybody else who's done this, you really have created something amazing here. We were featured in, not featured, but journalists from the Wall Street Journal called us this year, talk to us about Halloween as an economic driver in communities. And I couldn't give her the parking revenue numbers because it was still the middle of the month, but we were able to tell her that there were 5 accidents on North Union Street on Saturday in front of her house, right? That was a well-documented statistic.
I almost 3 mirrors this year.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that October was our busiest parking month ever, and we brought in almost $60,000 in parking meter revenue. And any parking complaints during the month of October should be forwarded directly to Dolores. So anyway, your impact has been significant, not just in your own neighborhood and in community, but really just outwards. So thank you again, and I'm very happy to see all of your neighbors here in support of you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. All right. Now, everybody else is stay for the rest of the meeting. No, if anybody wants to leave, this is a good moment to, I know some of your privates here, it's just working.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Right there. Okay, now we'll have, public participation, for those interested in offering comments or questions, we ask you to step up to the dais, to the podium once you have mobility issues. You have 3 minutes of uninterrupted time, we ask you please state your name, address, and then proceed with your comments or questions.
Beth O'Brien, 2 Hancock Street. I have just one simple question today. I'm wondering what the status is of the committee that was going to be proposing alternative sites for affordable housing.
Okay, anything else? Okay. So I was going to speak to that a little bit later in the meeting, but I'm happy to talk about it now. So, the advisory committee, is ready to be appointed at our December 5th meeting, and a full complement of local people, who were committed to being on the committee. And so we'll be talking about that more formally at the December 5th meeting, because those appointments will come then. But we will have a representative from the planning board, the zoning board, the municipal housing, liaison, our affordable housing attorney will be there, our planner will be there. And I will participate, Councilman Lai will participate. I'm gonna hold the other names for the moment, just because this time out to the council, we haven't really had a chance to kind of talk through those other potential appointees. The committee will begin to meet early in January, if not before, probably January. With the holidays, it may not be possible to get 8 or 10 or 12 people together. The committee will be meeting at least twice a month for the first 6 months of the year until we have crafted our plan, which is due by the end of January. I'm sorry, by the end of June. And I'll go through the timeline again at the December 5th meeting. The city has to adopt a resolution by the end of January, accepting the numbers or challenging them. So we'll talk through that. We haven't had a chance to council to kind of talk through that process a little bit. We'll do that at the December 5th meeting as well.
Hi, Sean Ellis, 21 Belvedere Avenue, or Belvedere Avenue, yes, I do remember my address. So I just had a question about the stormwater management ordinance. There's a section that says the following types of stormwater shall not be recharged. And that is stormwater from areas of high pollutant loading. High pollutant areas are in commercial developments where solvents or petroleum projects are unloaded, loaded, stored, applied, where pesticides are unloaded, loaded, or stored, where hazardous materials are expected to be present in greater than reportable quantities, as defined by the EPA. Areas where recharge would be inconsistent with department approved remedial action work, approved pursuant to such and such, and or department landfill closure plan, and areas with high risks for spill of toxic materials such as gas stations and vehicle maintenance facilities. Given the known pollutants in the well water on Comet Hill, how does this apply to proposed redevelopment? No, would that be an area where there would be no where you would not want to let the groundwater be recharged?
Is that your only question?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, but I'm not prepared to answer that because, you know, I don't know if Bill has any thoughts, but we've already adopted the ordinance and the second reading, public hearing for the amendments to the ordinance were minor. So, I haven't read the full ordinance in a while, and I would really need the engineer to kind of weigh in on that question. I'm more than happy to, if you don't mind putting the question in writing, just sending it to me. I'll get the engineer to respond, sometime next few days, but I just simply can't answer that question. I don't know if you have any insight on it. It's a leading question. It's a long ordinance and yeah, but I'm happy to answer it, happy to get the correct answer for you as you're able to. Okay, thank you, thanks.
Jeff Tittle, 33 Wilson Street. I will say that the parking even during that season of the Halloween goes all the way down to my end of town. You see people walking a mile or two down 29 to come and see the lights and the wonderful displays. It's been almost 6 months since, the public really first found out about the redevelopment. And it's been 3 months since we had the big meeting in April, and yet it's still unresolved. And the clock is ticking on the current plan, and then we have the future plan. We have a site that's not only people are concerned about cutting down 12 acres of woods or more to fit it in, and the flooding and the runoff from it, and stormwater and traffic and all those other things. We also know it's a contaminated site, and it fits into a lot of what he said, and we could talk a little bit later on it, that you have a site that's totally inappropriate. I don't think anybody I've talked to thinks that a site like that should be part of an inclusionary zoning plan, let alone develop. We don't know what's going to happen with the cleanup, or if there's going to be a cleanup. Last month, I said we should be petitioning the state to take the site over under the Site Remediation Act, because the owner hasn't done anything with the property for 30 years, and it's polluting our groundwater, it's polluting the community. And so the point that I want to make is we now have our numbers for the next round and the current round, and together it's 28 and 39, which is 67. If you do the builder's remedy inclusionary zoning, that's 335 units, it's over a 20% increase in the housing. That's also a 20% increase in parking and water use and sewage. We're talking about, 100,000 gallons a day of more sewage. We're talking about, 700-800 more cars. What the town has to do is remove this site and look for a vacant land adjustment. Because we cannot make these numbers or come close to meeting our obligation as long as we have this one site. It's the largest site we have left in town. Hanging out there, that's totally inappropriate. And so we have to amend our plan currently, remove it from the site, and then come up with the alternative. Because as long as this is hanging out there, and those big numbers are hanging out there, it doesn't matter what the committee comes up with. This town's gonna have serious problems. And so it really is up to this council, let's say, let's move forward and let's adjust our plan. And the other thing I'm just gonna leave with, because not only will digging up on that site could actually spur more pollution coming down, and there's other areas of towns that are vulnerable from flooding and from these counties. But the town is gonna have to grapple with the issue of PFAS. Other towns are doing it. We're not, we're letting DEP come in and do a plain talk, but the town itself has to get directly involved. This is a terrible carcinogen that affects people's lives. And the town itself has to stand up and take this issue on, not just leave it to the people on the hill. Thank you.
Jim Master, 127 North Union Street. It's my understanding that as per the Attorney General Immigrant Trust Directive, that our police departments, by this directive, cannot and will not assist any ICE enforcement that may come about when the new administration takes office. Given that the president-elect has recently stated that he intends to use aspects of the U.S. military, I presume this means the Army or the National Guard. I have several questions that I will give you copies of, so you can comment on them at some point. You may not have the answers now, right? Number one, will our police department not assist, either if asked or directed? I understand if asked. the directive from the Attorney General says they'll do it, but if they're directed by federal agents, will they assist? Number two, can our police department assist in protecting immigrants from being questioned, rounded up, or arrested by ICE by forming a physical barrier? Number three, can Lambertville residents harbor immigrants in their homes? Maybe this is part I was thinking about you. What do we need to do or know if we are harboring minors? What potential consequences might there be for residents who help these people? Number four, can Lambertville residents refuse entry to their homes to ICE or other federal agents? And the last is, can churches in Lambertville give sanctuary? And if so, is there any weight in the federal authorities to honor it? If protecting people in churches is a thing, I don't know what it is. We might want to actively make contact with the churches to build something in place. I'll give you copies. Sure. Thank you. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for those questions, which I'm not prepared to answer, and I don't think that they are prepared to answer this evening, but I think that they're important questions, and I'm grateful that you submitted them, and I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we can certainly get further guidance from the Attorney General's office to be able to be very accurate, in our response. I know a lot of it is, kind of a growing concern, certainly, a week or two old, but the Attorney General's also working very diligently on that, and we'd love to get back to you with the right thing, because it's our concern as well.
Will you respond to these questions in council meeting or on the city website?
I'm not sure yet. Let me, I'm gonna reserve the right to answer that question, after I think about it and speak to Bill about it. I will say just, we take this very seriously, and the city has a strong history of taking this seriously. And when the directive was issued in 2018, police department was very clear, and the directive is very clear. Some of these questions to be raised are, I won't say murky, but they're less clear in terms of what the directive allows for, et cetera. And it's important for the city to remain mindful that in bringing attention to ourselves, either publicly through the communications campaign, that we don't want necessarily to draw a lot of attention to Lambertville. So we want to be mindful of making sure our residents are protected. And I've offered to have meetings with members of the Latino community, had meetings with members of the Latino community before. And there are a couple of different ways that we can do that, and make sure that in small groups that we are supporting our people and giving them clear direction. The directive, which is on the state's website, certainly I don't see any issue with publishing that in Lambertville Matters, does include videos in both English and Spanish, which are very clearly, see the broad brush strokes and what the directive is. So we'll need a little bit of time to kind of think about this. It's a very important matter, I think. I don't know if Bill has any thoughts on it initially, but.
No, I appreciate that you're sensitive to this, Mayor. I think we want to be in a position where the nuances of these questions are addressed ahead of time, so that we don't look back and say, oh, we should have informed or worked out with the police for this, because something happened.
Yeah. Okay. And follow up with you directly, and then we'll decide how to disseminate the rest of the information. Please, Tom.
Tom Sullivan, 115 North Union, Lambertville. I just wanted to add one, I want to thank him for that line of questions. I think it's important. I just want to add one more question in that realm. If somebody's caught in a dragnet, are there resources available to the people that are caught up in the deportation dragnet? And is there something we can do or something we should know to help inform anybody that is looking for assistance? And that's my one addition. Or one addition to Jim's line of question.
There will be ACLU and others will be setting up funds.
Thank you.
Dave Bird, 255 Brunswick Avenue, going back to the redevelopment issue and affordable housing. I've said, and many others have said, affordable housing is a responsibility and something we want to do. It's something we need to do legally and also, ethically. But as Jeff was talking about these numbers that are just continuing to expand. All right, and I've said this from this podium months and months and months ago. It may be the time that we need to get either replacement, okay, or supplemental attorneys and planners to look at Lambertville, see what could be done, all right, and be aggressive to make sure that every single inch of Lambertville doesn't get developed, all right, because it's going to have an impact on us. And I know there's been concern about, well, we don't want to be, anti, affordable housing. All right, but if you're running a business, okay, sometimes you bring in another team to work with your existing team or to counsel with the team. And I would ask the city council, all right, to give this some real serious thought. There's apparently a legal lawsuit. Like 22 municipalities have participated. Maybe it's something we can do. We don't want to be too late and making a decision too late when we've already started down a very bad road that is going to impact on the city forever, and for my children and grandchildren and the like. So and I would appreciate an answer. A lot of questions get asked, all right, but they don't get answered. Okay, there's no response from the council. All right, are you with us or are you not with us? All right, and what are we going to do? Thank you.
I would just say that I have every confidence in the group of people that will be leading this committee. They will be leaving no stone unturned. They will be asking questions that we have probably not asked over the past few years about development opportunities or other places within the city. So I'm confident in the committee's work, and I have no reason not to feel very strongly about that. So that's where I land on that. And the council, we have not discussed this publicly. I'm more than willing to take a couple of minutes to discuss it now. As a matter of policy, I would not support joining other communities in suing the state for any kind of remedy for affordable housing obligation. I have concerns about how that looks and what that means and the cost of getting involved in litigation that could go on for a long period of time. I am personally very satisfied with our obligation and feel as though we can meet it. So let me be clear about all those. I think that we have not done a good job. We've not met, in my view, kind of what many people consider not just the legal obligation, but the moral obligation. So that's where I stand at the moment, and I'm more than happy to open this up to any other council members who wish to share their views on any or all of that.
No.
Councilman Stegman or Lyle, do you have any comments? Any response?
Just about the lawsuit. I would say, this is something where we want to cautiously, obviously, look at everything. But before you jump in, obviously, everyone has to realize that means we're going to be sharing in the litigation costs, which we don't necessarily need to do, because if the case is successful, it's not like just the towns that were part of the lawsuit are going to benefit for that. It's going to apply to the whole state. So I don't really see why we would need to get involved with that, because if the lawsuit is correct, if they win, we're going to get the benefit of that anyway. So.
I do think the state also is looking at, making some tweaks to the law and even to the January deadline, even at the League of Municipalities this week. The commissioner from DCA hinted that that deadline is could get pushed back. There are some sessions and comments on some different changes that, some legislators are thinking of. So I think, and we're involved in our own litigation, so perhaps it's prudent to get the fruits of others' labor, and there are things in motion, but I would really like to direct, want to also address your comment about development and overdevelopment, and I do think that in the new next year, considering the generational change that we face with some, businesses, closing, property becoming available, that we actively take a look at taking a look at our master plan and some of the changes of how we're going to grow into the future. When you're faced with those kind of changes as a community, you really have to take a look at what you've been doing, because the judgments that you made, 10 years, 20 years ago now are outdated. And we really have to take a look at what's ahead, and like I said, like I like to call it, like, grow into the future. We have a balance here, we have a community we treasure, we have a lot of resources that are in historic resources that we want to preserve, we want to preserve our tourism and our traditions here. But then we also have to allow some room for the future too. So how we do that is about us getting together, taking a new look at some of our master plan and coming together and getting some consensus on where we're at, and finding out, kind of what's the state of the art, what's the thinking out there. But we definitely have some work to do with, addressing our community and how we want to see it grow, not grow, shine, really. That's a better word than. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comments in the room? Anybody online? How many people do we have online? 8. All right, may I have a motion to close the public comment period, please?
So move.
All seconded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right, resolutions, we have a consent agenda this evening. The following resolutions on the consent agenda are considered routine and shall be enacted by one motion. Should any member of the city council seek separate discussion of any item, that item shall be removed and discussed separately. I just wanted to make one note of something, resolution number 166, 2024. This is a resolution to authorize an amendment to the city engineer's contract to include the design, permit, and inspection fees in an amount not to exceed $15,000. This is for a project which began in 2015 on Upper York Street. There was a lot of work done along Ely Creek, and one of the areas that the project identified into which plans were made was never completed. And I don't know why that is. We've not been able to determine why that section of the project is not completed. It does pose a hazard. During Ida, it was even bad, more damage, suffered more damage. The sidewalk has the sidewalk ends and the creek begins, and it's not a unhealthy or safe situation. So it's taken a couple of years to find all the old records and go through them and see what was planned, and then to meet with the engineers to look at the project anew. See what permitting there would be, and we could fund through existing ordinances, which we've determined that we can. We still have a little bit of money left in the Ida restoration bond, as well as one of the road jobs. So this resolution is to get that project started. I'd like to see, hopefully, if the resolution passes, we'll submit an RFP. We'll get that going fairly soon, so hopefully work can begin in the spring. That's the only thing I wanted to call out everyone's attention to. Are there any questions from anybody on the council? No. Councilman Lai, Councilman Statham, any questions?
No questions.
No questions, Mayor.
In that case, may I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda? Let me just read the numbers for the record. Consent agenda number, resolutions number 160-2024 through 166-2024. Motion, please. Thank you.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Bill list, I would like to make a motion to approve the bills.
So moved.
Second? All right, all those in favor? I'm second. I'm gonna start seconding and making amends. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. First reading of ordinances, tonight we have ordinance number 25-2024. It's an ordinance of the city of Lambertville in the county of Hunterdon, New Jersey, providing for the acquisition and repair of police vehicles of and for the city, appropriating $95,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $90,250 in general improvement bonds or notes to this of the city to finance the same. So I wouldn't typically like to introduce an ordinance, bond ordinance this late in the year, but this is in part to replace an engine which failed in one of our police vehicles, and we need to get the vehicle back on the road. That's going to cost about $10,000. We also took a look at the next cycle bonding. We already have bonded for one police vehicle this year, but we're going to add this second vehicle into this. It's going to be a hybrid. So we've been talking about moving to hybrid vehicles that will eventually get us to electric vehicles. But this is a good start. And so, I'd like to move forward with this ordinance. So, are there questions from the council on it?
No, can I make a motion?
Yeah, so I would ask for a motion to introduce ordinance number 25-2024 with a public hearing scheduled for December 5th.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, ordinance is second reading. The first of these ordinances is ordinance number 17-2024. It's an ordinance to amend the Lambertville City Code 2014, Chapter 7, Section 7 through 17, Lambertville Restaurant Valet Parking Service. This was, no, I forget, it was just, this was a change in an ordinance that we had already adopted to include the R2, the residential 2 districts. We realized that we neglected to put that in the ordinance as adopted recently. So
You amended it, you didn't, so you amended it.
I'm sorry, that's right.
Instead of adopting.
That's what
You
the
carried,
process
then
was.
you had to carry this.
Okay, what Cindy said. So this time I would ask for any public comments on this ordinance. Anybody online? No? No? That would that know? Okay. I'll make a motion to close the public comment period for ordinance number 17-2024. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, public comment is closed on that. Is there any further consideration needed from council members on this ordinance?
No, I'd like to move to adopt the ordinance.
Thank you very much, council. I'll
Set aside.
Oh, we can get in the next one. Oh, I retract my second. Would you like a second?
No.
Okay. We'll just take a yes vote then. I'm down one once I give it to you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right, the motion carries, the ordinance is adopted. Thank you. Ordinance now, ordinance 22-2024, an ordinance to amend the Lambertville City Code 2014, Chapter 5 to 11, to include provisions to manage short-term rentals. So talking about this is really just to amend the language to update the definition and occupancy standards for our short-term rentals. And I'll note that Paul Stevens gave some good feedback at the last meeting. I think we've taken that to heart. We always take everything to heart, but we actually did something about it, which we try to do as well. But now we have a place on the website. Lindsay, why don't you take 2 seconds and share that?
Yeah, we added a comment button on the website so that anybody who has a complaint about a neighboring short-term rental can easily voice the complaint of course, after they've contacted the police, if it's an emerging matter. But feel free to share input about any kind of issues that the short-term rentals may be bringing.
All right, so I'm gonna open up the public hearing for ordinance number 22-2024. Public comment? Okay, anybody online?
Susan, do you have a comment about the ordinance?
Hello?
Hi, do you have a comment about the ordinance?
Actually, I've had my hand up for quite a while because I wanted to ask a question going back to the development on the top of the hill.
Okay,
Okay, can we?
we're gonna ask you just to wait till the second public comment period, which is not too far off, really. Okay?
You guys didn't call on me, so
Well, we're right in the middle of an action here, so I'm gonna ask you just to hold. If you-
oh,
if you don't-
okay, sure.
Yeah. I forgot, so we have no public comment, so. Would you like to make a motion to close the public comment?
Second,
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, public comment period is closed on ordinance number 22-2024. Any further questions or comments from the council members? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion. I think I have to legally read the title. Bill.
No.
All right, so
You're fucking really sorry.
all right, so Karen has made a motion to adopt the ordinance. And I believe Council President is on the first, seconding it.
I will second
All
it.
right, all those in favor of adopting ordinance number 22-2024, please say aye.
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 All right, the motion carries. Ordinance number 23-2024, this is to amend the Lambertville City Code 2014 to correct the definition of automatic automated vending machines. This should be fairly self-explanatory, but nonetheless, I will open it up to the public in case it wasn't self-explanatory. Seeing no one rising to their stop.
Sean Ellis, 21 Belvedere Avenue. My question is, it wasn't quite clear to me what was amended, what were arcade games or like pinball machines taken out of it? Okay, because that's the one thing I didn't see listed there that I thought was listed before, but
There, it was
because it
actually
just says
repetitive.
vending machines and, I'm sorry, Cindy.
It was repetitive, it was twice in the ordinance, so they just, you saw it 2 times, so it's just striking 1.
Oh, okay, I see.
That's
All right,
it.
there was no significant condo.
Sorry, may I have a motion to close the public comment period, please?
So moved.
Second is me. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Unless the council members have a question, I would ask for motion to adopt ordinance number 23-2024.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, motion carries. Ordinance number 24-2024 is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 06-2024, Article 15, stormwater management, specific to the provisions for stormwater control of the city of Lambertville. So we talked about this last time. The Hunterdon County Planning Board requested a few changes, including adding one definition. There was couple sentences that did not make the transcription from our original ordinance into this ordinance, and there were some small formatting issues that we've addressed. So that's what we're amending this ordinance to do. So I would ask if anybody has any questions about that, they step up to the mic.
Paul Stevens, 39 Quarry Street. I'm not quite sure this is pertinent to this ordinance, but it might not be the right ordinance to put it in. So yesterday I was driving down Main Street and I noticed all these people just blowing all of these leaves out into the street. Okay. And I thought to myself, that's something that we can take care of easily. And whether goes in the stormwater management ordinance, or we have another ordinance later on that bans blowing, leaves into the street. Because I just thought, it's like, wow, we're supposed to get an inch of rain in the next 24 hours. They're not gonna be able to clear the drains, it's just causing things to back up. There's no reason that I bag my leaves, after I used the leaves that I needed to mulch, and then I bagged the rest of them, somebody comes by and picked them up. And so we can take care of this if, we get people to do it. And so I talk about it now because this is stormwater management.
Yeah, well, thanks. It's not in the stormwater management ordinance itself, although it is, I don't know if it's technically a requirement of the MS4 Tier A, but we do have an ordinance that prohibits pushing anything into the street. And in fact, just in today's Lambertville Matters, we pointed that out to people. So some of it's an educational thing, and there are some people who clearly just violate it because it's easier to push the leaves into the street. And so we do have enforcement mechanisms, and I think we did send somebody out the other day there was a pile of leaves that created quite a stir, apparently on social media. If you see it, feel free to call us. We're happy to talk to people and address it. People should be picking up their leaves. They shouldn't be sweeping them into the street. So thank you for that. Were there any other comments on this amendments to this ordinance? Okay, nobody online? Thank you. I'll make a motion to close the public comment period.
So,
No, I made the motion.
I'm second, sorry.
Okay, all in favor of adopting ordinance number 24-2024, please say aye.
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 Okay. Just a couple of other things before we move back to the second public comment period.
You got.
Close public comment, then we did the motion. Okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
I would like to make one appointment to vacant position on the environmental commission, Jen Herbert, who lives on Elm Street. I sent around her.
I think Council President Lambert's right. I have, the motion was to close, but did you make a motion to adopt?
I thought I did.
No, I think we're.
Oh,
Right.
No.
okay.
Cindy knows.
See, I only said aye one time.
Right. You need two eyes.
All right, so thank you for catching that. Appreciate it. We will not want to have to argue with that. Thank you so much. And I'd love to second it. So, now
You guys have it.
right. Okay. We heard from the fellows on in the owl. So everybody in favor of adopting ordinance number 24-2024, please say
Aye.
There's a little delay.
all right, thanks. So Jen Herbert to fill a vacant position on the environmental commission. Were there any questions about this appointment?
No.
All right.
Aye.
Okay. Karen's made a motion to confirm Mayor Noak's nomination. And Council President? Second, all right. All those in favor of this appointment, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We don't really have much in the way of updates for tonight's meeting. I will say, offer my thanks to everybody who attended the Resilience Action Plan workshop last week. The boards and everything that you would want to have seen from the workshop posted onto the website, including the meeting video. So if anybody's interested, I would encourage you to take a look at that stuff and feel free. There is a format for sending additional comments. We're in kind of the final phases of this project. The consultants will be back in touch with me over the next couple of weeks with some draft language, and we'll probably be looking to what?
Your microphone,
What about it?
so people can hear you.
I've lost my train of thought. So anyway, we're nearing the end of this process. Consultants will be getting back to us with some draft language for the climate action plan. And in the new year, the environmental commission is going to establish a subcommittee that's actually going to start to look at some of these goals and implementation for various things in the plan. So I'm pleased about this. We're only one of not that many municipalities have gotten this far along. There are a lot of municipalities in talking about this requirement this year. And so again, I express my gratitude to the DEP for the grant, which was worth several $100,000 to do this. So, and thanks to everybody for your input. Correspondence, T-Mobile grant, the city received notification that we did not receive the grant from T-Mobile for the ADA compliance audio and visual upgrades to the Justice Center. We did send a letter to our legislators regarding Title V, which is public notice of the Open Public Meetings Act, because the newspapers that are going out of print, put a major kink into kind of public noticing of meetings. I was at the legislative session yesterday. Councilwoman was there as well. The state anticipates enacting amendments to the code that will allow probably for noticing through electronic means online, probably on city websites, maybe other city or other online forms. So it's not a serious issue for us just yet, but it will be for many municipalities who've lost really all access to any kind of news print in terms of noticing. So I think it seems like the legislature is going to work quickly on this one. And it's, there's a reason
But
for
yeah,
this.
I think, yeah, it's gonna move to online, because now there is online, it used to be a very big debatable topic for to take it out of print, but now there's no print, they did say, they might try to do something by the end of the year.
They have
Like,
to,
yeah,
because
there were
yeah.
towns that were like,
most of
we
the North
can't
Jersey
go
will
on.
not have a newspaper circulated in their community that is in print. We will have a problem beginning in February, but we'll have to act fast to get all of our notices in. But we still have issues with ordinances and things. So we were assured that the legislature would take some type of action for relief before the end of the year.
And it's a common sense approach, right? I mean, municipalities pay a lot of money for noticing newspapers, so this will alleviate a little bit of a burden on taxpayers and municipalities.
$5,000 for us.
How much?
About 5,000.
So that's a lot of money.
So do we know that whatever, whatever the site is that we're gonna be using to notice, will that be our city website? How's that gonna work? Like, where is it?
They're talking about, certainly the bulletin boards, which we already use, right? But they're talking about allowing municipalities to add it to their municipal websites. They also mentioned the possibility that counties might have some online location for noticing of all, public meetings in the county. So we'll come up with something and we'll keep everybody. abreast.
They've also discussed like, we use the Hunterdon County Democrat and the Trenton Times because of the two that circulated in our community. But you would advertise online to them. But we wrote a letter to the legislators because often you have to pay, the public would have to pay to obtain that, just like you would to pay a newspaper. And I think it would be a lot easier if we were able to put it on our website and it would make it more accessible, I think. So we would look to create a page for people to easily go to.
Yeah.
Unless, and then the alternative to that is, will publications like NJ.com make it, a free section, but then, maybe to advertise that, then you would pay them. I don't know how it's gonna go, but that's
They're
one
all
of
three of the things we're
yeah,
talking
right,
about.
because,
I'm willing to bet that when the dust settles, municipalities are gonna have to pay.
yeah, but
Nobody's gonna host
they'll
it.
try to keep, well, it's really a shame, about, just news, and again, generational change, but boy, the news business keeps changing, and how do you keep even, thank God that NJ.com will still publish, news for all of us, even though, some of it's behind a paywall, some of it isn't, it's crazy, but, yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, stay tuned on that. We received a thank you letter from Breaking AIDS. We hosted a location for them in the summer for their riders to take a break, a lunch break at local park. So we have very nice stuff from them this week. And just a couple of announcements. Annual tree lighting will take place on Monday, December 9th at 6 p.m. corner of South Union Bridge Street. The menorah lighting will be on January 1st at 6:30, led by Rabbi Cornwell of Hunterdon County, Shalom, of course, South Union Bridge Street. Convenience hours are, center hours are noted. Saturday is December 7th and 21st from 9 to noon, and Wednesday, December 18th from 3 to 5. Now I'll open the meeting to public participation. Let's go to our online person first.
Susan, would you like to go ahead?
Hello?
Yes, yeah, can you hear us, Susan?
For some reason, I couldn't hear you for a couple minutes. I didn't even know you were summoning me. I think what what I wanted to ask, what I'm a little confused about is, are there alternative sites being looked at for affordable housing, or is the KHOV thing going through? Is it a done deal? I can't quite figure out the answers to this.
Susan, could you just give us your full name and your address, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Susan Rovello at 8 Hillside Court in Lambertville.
Again, I have no news to share. So as everybody probably has seen, on our agendas, we've had a number of closed sessions. And I still have an update for you. You know, we are working, as a council to work through kind of a number of complex questions on both of the development of the high school site, the potential development of the high school site, and alternate affordable housing locations. But I don't have anything that I can share with you publicly, Susan.
So what reassurance do I have leaving this meeting that my neighbors up on Connaught Hill and are not going to be impacted by this, what so many people are so concerned about, and also what I think is going to affect the town so dramatically? Like, to just be told there's nothing to share just makes it seem like it's a matter of strategy to kind of buy time. The clock runs out and then we're stuck with KHOV. And is there anything that you can say that would, or can answer that would lead me to believe that the people have been heard about this at all? And that
people have been heard.
And considered.
We're considered, and yes, of course considered. Before you start, we've been listening to public feedback. I probably answered 100 emails on the subject of this development. People have been heard. People have been considered. So yes, 100%, absolutely. I've listened to your public comments in meetings over the course of the summer into the fall. Anybody. I keep notes of all personal notes of everything that people say in meetings, and I reflect on them. Personally, I'm just speaking for myself now. But you know, I don't know how else to say it. I can't offer you any assurances because I can't share any information right now. And how you interpret that is left up to you. I would hope that the community has enough trust and faith in the 5 people who serve on this dais in this community to make thoughtful, careful decisions on behalf of the community when the time comes. So you know, all I can suggest is that you trust in the process, you trust in your elected leaders, and when we have information to share, we promise we'll share it. But I can't, you know, some of this contractual. And so there's a lot of reasons why I can't share it. It's not that I don't want to, although, you know, sharing things, even if we could share things in the process, you know, that has the potential to kind of corrupt the process itself. So, you know, the governing body does have legal latitude to explore questions and to consider contractual matters outside of the public. And then once we get to a point where, you know, the council is able to take action, we do take action, and we are fully accountable for that action, both to the public and to, you know, anybody that we're working with. So those are my thoughts on that. And you know, it sounded like the council president may have had some thoughts as well.
Susan, this is Benedetta. I understand your frustration, and I know that a lot of people in the community share that frustration. We all know that. But the fact of the matter is, activities of a confidential nature are happening. And the key there is confidential. So, we're legally obligated to not discuss it at present. But I think what the mayor, is trying to put forth is that as we are able to share information with the public, we will do so. I think one of the things that is coming that is a very optimistic sign is this affordable housing citizen committee, or ad hoc committee, not ad hoc, what we call it, advisory committee, which is action. Okay, and that team will be looking at affordable housing options. The mayor mentioned that we will be taking action as a council to form that group at the December 5th meeting. It's very frustrating because people are concerned, and we have a community that wants to do the right thing, and we just want to get the right thing done. But unfortunately, sometimes it takes longer than we'd like it to take. And I know that's not a good answer, but it's kind of where we are right now. So I would also ask that you have some faith in us, in that we're trying to do what's right for the entire community, as well as meet our legal obligations.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Just one other thought, just because we aren't able to talk about something doesn't mean that we're not thinking about something, or we're actively trying to do something, right? So there are other locations that we are considering or discussing for affordable housing. But it's very important for us to do things in a particular order to make sure that things are possible, that they're viable, that they can unfold. Some of my own reflections about government, sometimes we get ahead of what might happen, and we get excited or pleased at the prospect or worried about the prospect, and then it turns out that it can't happen because of X, Y, and Z, and we just haven't got to X, Y, and Z yet, right? So some of this is just about making sure that we're going through the process, and it's slow and it's difficult. I completely understand and sympathize with you. Does anybody else want to? Okay.
Thank you so much. That's helpful to hear. Just even that much that you said was very helpful. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Anyone else online? Is there anybody in the room who has anything to add? Okay, seeing no one, I'm going to have a motion to close the public comment period, please.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I'll say thank you. We really do appreciate having people out here listening and being a part of the conversation. So thanks for coming. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay.
Good night.
Turn one.